the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be absolutely beautiful. Yep.
Thanks.
All right. And if we could have, I know Frankie is in the other room. We'll ask him to unmute and put his camera on, and we will bring in Frankie Muniz, driver of the number 30 Ford for Rhett Jones Racing.
How's it going? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Frankie. How are you?
I'm awesome. Excited. Still anxious,
right.
I guess. Anxious, I guess, is what I am.
We joked about it a little bit this morning. We've been talking about this, it seems, for about 2 years now, and the day's finally here. What are your emotions coming into this one?
You know, I definitely have mixed emotions. I'm extremely excited to be here. We have talked about it for literally almost a year and a half. Kept thinking that I was going to be on track a lot sooner than I was. But, you know, there's so many factors that have to be put into place to put a program together, and definitely the program that I want to put together. You know, I don't want to just, you know, jump in any car and run one race. I want to go out there and be as competitive as I can and give myself every advantage I have, especially, you know, I'm really throwing myself off the deep end by even, you know, joining the ARCA Menard series. I don't have a lot of stock car experience. I don't have a lot of oval experience. So I wanted to find the right fit where I know have a team behind me that is eager to help teach me as much as I need to learn, and I feel like I'm ready. We'll see what happens.
As expected, we've got a ton of people who are anxious to speak to you, and we will start with Bob Pockris. Bob, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, Frankie, I'm curious, when talking to teams and sponsors, have you had any trouble with people taking you seriously? Just as far as, like, you know, is this just a thrill-seeking thing, or is this something you're serious about? Do they question that?
Definitely. I won't say that people don't question that. You know, I think a lot of people don't know that I do have, you know, I have raced a lot in my past. Granted, it was 10, 15 years ago. I was racing in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship. You know, I had an IndyCar ride set up for 2010. Like, so, you know, I was a pretty serious racer, but it's been so long. There also really wasn't social media as much back then. So, you know, maybe the word didn't spread that I was a race car driver in the past as easily as it does these days. But no, you know, I think that's one thing I'm anxious to prove, not people wrong. You know, I want to prove to people that, like, I'm here to take it seriously. I'm not just here for a fluke. I'm not just here for publicity. Like, I've wanted this my entire life. You know what I mean? I'm mad I waited 12 years after my last racing experience to get here. But, you know, I want people to look at me and see me on track and go, wow, he belongs. And, you know, I'm ready to prove that to everyone that I do. So hopefully I do. But yeah, no, I think even from a sponsor standpoint to this point, it's been tough because it's really just been an idea. It's me saying, hey, I want to go do this. I really want to do this. But now I'm here in the car, you know, about to go on the track, and I'm making it a reality. So hopefully that'll show that it wasn't just all talk, and I'm here for hopefully the long haul.
And did it take 12 years because when you're acting, you can't commit to anything very much or very long term, or even like over the next 6 months or 9 months? Or was it something where you just felt like you had to concentrate on acting to be the best at that?
No, you know, if you want to be the best or you want to do anything successfully, you really need to give 100% to that thing. You know, if you want to be a race car driver, you need to be a race car driver, and everything that you do in preparation, training, you know, being with the team, you need to, you know, because you're competing against people that's their lives. So it's hard to kind of balance doing multiple things that are, you know, difficult, you know, but to be honest, you know, in 2009, my last year in Atlantics, I broke my back. I got pins put in my hand, broke my ankle. So it really was a matter of, like, I just took longer to heal than I thought. And then by the time I was ready to get back in the car, not that you have to essentially start over, but I missed an entire season. And I got an opportunity to be in a band. And I know that sounds crazy. And I played drums, and I was touring the world playing drums, you know, so my life a lot of things have just kind of taken over my life, and I've dove in 100%. I've always thought in the back of my mind I was going to go back racing, but as the years have gone on, it felt further and further away. So when I had my son 19 months ago, it honestly made me go, like, what am I? Like, who am I? Who do I want to be, you know, to my son? Or what do I want to see him? What do I want him to see me doing and reaching a goal or trying. And I felt like I want to be a race car driver. That's what I've always said. I felt like I was the most comfortable doing of all the things I've gotten to do. So it's tough. I wish now that I've gone back racing, I go, man, why did I wait so long? You know what I mean? Because now realistically, I'm old to be getting started in the stock car world. But in that same sense, it motivates me that I've got to take advantage of the opportunity I have today. You know what I mean? I don't have time to waste. So hopefully that helps the progression go a little quicker, because I have the motivation. I'm in the right mindset.
Thank you very much, Bob. We'll go next to Cole Cusimano. Cole, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. Hey, Frankie, congratulations on getting that first full-time ride this season.
Thank you.
So you mentioned not having time to waste. Do you have any personal or I guess on-track goals for your first full-time campaign?
I've been thinking about it a lot, obviously. I'm competitive. Of course, I want to say the goal is to win races, you know what I mean? But I'm also realistic and know that I've got very tough competition out there. This isn't something that I've done for the past 10 years in stock cars. Like most people who I'm racing, they came up kind of in late models and super late models and everything to get to this level. I kind of skipped a lot of that. And so I'm realistic. And I hate to sound cliche when I say this, but really my goal, in my, let's call it old age, and when I look back at everything I've done in the past, I have a greater appreciation for everything I've gotten to do. And it's also made me know that when I have an opportunity, like I said, I want to put 100% in. So really my goal for the season, it'd be great to win races. That obviously that's a goal, but is every time I climb out of the car, I want to look back at it and go, that was all I had. That I did my best. And if I do that, then I feel like I can't ask for anything more. I just don't want to look back at the end of the season or really mid-season and go, oh, I wish I tried harder. I wish I put more effort in. I wish I spent more time with the team or trained harder or whatever it is I can be doing to progress as quickly as possible. So I feel like as long as I do that, I should have a pretty good year.
Thank you so much. Good luck this year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cole. We'll go next to Kimmy Robinson, also of the Arizona Republic. Kimmy, go ahead whenever you're ready.
We'll be double teaming this. Hey, Frankie, how's it going?
Hey, good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hope Paige and Miles are doing okay. But speaking of inquiring minds need to know, freaked out a little bit. I think there's a NASCAR story about you last year, and I think you mentioned relocating possibly. But yeah, I was wondering, this season of your life, everything that's going on, this career that you're getting back to. I believe you're still full-time in the Phoenix area, but I was wondering, is that still on your mind? Do you think you're going to relocate, or are you still like Arizona's home?
Well, I mean, I think Arizona will always be home. We'll have our primary residence there. We're actually building a new house right now. But definitely as the season, the beginning of the ARCA season is a little pretty spread out. There's at least a month in between each race. I think after Phoenix, there's 6 weeks. But once we get into the season, we're going to rent a place near the shop so I can spend more time with the guys and do whatever. Like I said, I want to do whatever I need to do I can't let any of my competitors have any advantage on me. You know what I mean? If that means me being local, getting sim time and, at the Ford Performance studio. And if that's going to help me, I want to do it. Like I said, I don't have years to try this. You know what I mean? If I'm going to make it happen, I need to do it. So we'll be back and forth for sure, but Arizona will always be home. So don't worry about that.
We always want to know. And the Phoenix Raceway, yeah, that'll be in like 2 months or so. So that'll be a nice homecoming, and you can at least stay local for that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, obviously, to race at Phoenix. Got so many friends and local support that will be able to come to the race, and hopefully I'll be able to perform well there.
Hopefully I'll see you there. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Thanks, Kimmy. We'll go next to Mitchell Brewer. Mitchell, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Frankie, thank you for your time. Over the last year, you've done a number of interviews expressing your desire to race in ARCA. I was just curious what the process was like of finding this ride and how you ended up with Rhett Jones Racing.
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, you may be following the sport or being involved in the sport in some capacity. but maybe people who aren't involved in the racing industry don't know that there's so many elements that need to be put into place to make it happen. Obviously it's a very expensive sport. So finding sponsorship is very important. And then obviously, putting the pieces together with the team, finding someone who has the same kind of goals, or we feel like is going to give me the best opportunity as quickly as possible. So I met with a lot of teams this year, had some very great conversations with a lot of teams, but there was something when I met Rhett, I just had an immediate connection with him, and he expressed that he wanted to focus 100% on me. He had an opportunity to field a second car. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that, and he turned down that opportunity because he wanted to make sure I had all the resources that he could give me to help that learning curve I have, and to be as quick as possible. So I don't know. I had a great relationship with him. I have a great relationship with Ford, and that was definitely a key factor in making the decision. And I'm so happy so far. Obviously, I haven't been on track with the team yet, but spending the last week in the shop with all the guys, I think we're going to have a really fun, successful year. So I'm happy with the decision.
Thank you for your time.
Mitchell, thank you so much. We'll go next to Brian Eberly. Brian, go ahead when you're ready.
Brian Eberly, Auto Racing Digest. Frankie, congrats on the announcement, and thanks for taking time out today to join us. This story has kind of received coverage from the typical motorsports beat all the way to TMZ and Entertainment Weekly and all over the board. Connor Daly was commenting, "Let's go, bro," on your post. You're getting some support from some big name drivers. What's the reaction been like from your perspective? What drivers have reached out? What drivers have you talked to? And kind of like, how do they feel about you giving this a try and kind of the attention that it's going to bring to the series and the sport?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Obviously it is something that I've talked about in the past, but having that announcement officially come out was relieving. It was also exciting, but I didn't expect so many people to be interested in the story right now. So I was obviously excited about that. I've had so many drivers reach out and send messages like, "Hey, any way I could help?" And that's been really, I don't want to say surprising. I didn't know if I maybe expected as an outsider, being an actor, if people would take it seriously or if they would kind of push me off to the side and think that it was just kind of some kind of fluke. But so far, a majority of the response has been extremely positive, which I'm thankful for, But in that same sense, I know I need to go out there and prove that I belong by my performance. You know what I mean? Just making an announcement and showing up and being here is one thing, but getting out there and hopefully turning heads because my performance is there is another. So that's the goal, and we'll see. But like I said, I've had so many drivers reach out and say, "Hey, I'm so excited for you," and like I said, they're kind of few are taking me under their wing a little bit, even though I'm a lot older than them. But I'll obviously take as much advice as possible, and we'll see where it goes.
Great. And taking a look at the 20 race ARCA schedule, is there a track you're kind of really looking forward to? And is it, on the flip side, is there one that maybe you're like, "Oh man, I'm really gonna have a tough time when I get to that one"?
It's funny because I haven't been anywhere, right? So I have zero racing experience, well, except for Mid Ohio. I've been in Mid Ohio, back in the Atlantic days, so I'll be comfortable there and on the road courses. But no, I mean, obviously Daytona is Daytona, so even being here is like mind blowing for sure. I'm excited for the race, but really everywhere I'm excited. I would say the two that I'm not excited, but a little, I question how it's going to be. I've never been on dirt, so there's 2 dirt races this year, so that'll be an even steeper learning curve for me. But
Right.
but I'm ready for the challenge, and as long as I can, like I said, do my best, I know hopefully we'll be hunting for the championship at the end of the season.
Great. Thanks, Frankie. Good luck, and we'll see you a few weeks in Daytona.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Frankie, I have to imagine it's probably pretty strange to take advice from an 18-year-old driver who's been doing this for several years. And it's got to be a little strange. We'll go next to Steven Taranto. Steven, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Frankie, I've got 2 questions for you, if that's all right. You talked a little bit about the process of finding a ride for the season, and you talked about Rhett and Terry Jones. So in that process, how important was it that you settled on a team with 2 owners who have a lot of equity in the ARCA garage and who have been around for a really long time, like Terry and like Mark have?
Like I said, I had an immediate connection with Mark when we went to the shop and we met with him. But to be honest, I played in Corey LaJoy's kickball tournament a few months ago in the Charlotte area, and I was essentially the only non-NASCAR driver there. And everybody was coming up to me, all the drivers, and asking kind of what I thought I was doing. And everybody I brought Rhett up to was like, great guy, like, oh, that's a great spot for you to land, and that helped kind of solidify the decision as well, because for so many Cup drivers and Xfinity drivers to tell me that he's a good guy and has a great program going, that felt great. You know what I mean? Because obviously I got to give myself every advantage I can. And if knowing that I know I'm gonna have a good car is a nice feeling. So hopefully I can meet the expectations that the car has for me.
And then there have been other actors who have gone from their show business careers into auto racing with a level of success. Obviously, everyone thinks of Paul Newman in that category. Patrick Dempsey, more recently, Steve McQueen is part of that. Is there anything, have you looked at their respective careers, and is there anything that you've been able to glean from that as it pertains to developing yourself into a professional in this space and the success in this space?
Well, I mean, obviously the fact that there's a pretty small list of, actors turned racers that you list, right? If I can become, even though I want to be a race car driver, I want people to think of me, obviously I have my past and people will maybe know me as being an actor or whatever else I've done in the past, but I want people to think of me as a race car driver. Like, you think of Paul Newman as a race car driver, you think of him as an actor, you think of him as having amazing salad dressing. Those are all cool things. But so in that sense, like if I can be successful as a race car driver and people take me seriously as a race car driver, not necessarily having that actor / race car driver title, that would be pretty cool for me. But it's not something that I haven't spent too much time looking into what they do, because I'm kind of running my own program and have my own goals, and hopefully in the end I can get on that list that you named.
Gotcha. Thank you, Frankie.
No problem.
And we will go Terry Sabiston from right here in Daytona Beach. Terry, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Frankie, Terry Sabiston with WNDB here in Daytona, coming to Daytona. And you've been here before, probably the only guy out there in the ARCA series that's actually driven the pace car around Daytona International Speedway. And that perspective of coming to Daytona is so special. And that's, I think, is important to the fans, that it's important to you. But what's that perspective of coming to Daytona? You've taken laps around here last year. You've driven the pace car, but Daytona has that just special feeling of its own.
I'm not just saying this to say this. I literally was walking out of the kind of the tunnel where you walk onto the pit lane, and I got chills. You see all the stands, you see, World Center of Racing, Daytona, and it's an incredible opportunity to get to be here and to drive, never mind get to race here next month. But having been here in 2001, I was in the pace car as a guest of Fox, got to meet some of my favorite drivers, growing up as a NASCAR fan that night. It's special to be here, 22 years later and getting to do it myself. There's a cool little tidbit that I found out, but the car that I'm driving today, and probably the car I'll be driving next month for the race, is the chassis that Sterling Marlin used in that race in the 2001 Daytona 500. So it's kind of a weird thing. There's a video of me in the pace car, and the car right behind me is his car, which I'm driving now. So kind of an interesting little tidbit there, but I don't know. It's definitely special for sure.
Also, the ARCA series has, since you were here in 2001, has transitioned. It's totally changed. Safety features, the cars with the bodies on them. Used to be there was a scrap yard after these races in the garage area. That's transitioned with the new body styles and the new cars. They're a lot safer, more comfortable from really the team's point of view, what kind of work they can do on them. And NASCAR has taken it over. That's a big perspective of this and how ARCA's changed, I think, and something I think you got to look at.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being under the NASCAR banner is amazing. But in that sense, racing in general has gotten safer, and I think that's a huge shout out to everyone who's trying to obviously make it as safe as possible. It is a dangerous sport. There are going to be incidents, but in that sense, I think they've done an amazing job. But ARCA, if you think of the Cup drivers that are currently driving, most of them went up through ARCA. So it is the path, to get to where my end goal is. This is the path I need to be on, and hopefully I can perform well here to keep moving up.
Follow-up question here. The ARCA field, the variety of types of drivers out there. I mean, you say you're the old guy, but you go back to Bobby Gerhardt's, the other drivers. There's a large variety of age and experience and adversity. What are you looking to take away from this practice session, or learning out there on the track? And when you look back a year from now, what's do you think is going to be the perspective you've got on what you've learned from these group of people racing with them?
Well, obviously this weekend, it's my first time in the car with my team. So getting comfortable with them getting to know me getting to know, kind of the way that they work and the feedback that they need. Obviously being at Daytona, it's an intimidating racetrack. It's super high speed. Being in the draft is a whole different beast. So we want to get as much experience being with the fast guys in the draft, because really the next time I get to do that is in the race. We get, I think, 1 45-minute practice session on Thursday and then qualify and we're racing. So I just want to be able to go away from this weekend feeling like I'm ready for that, ready to be kind of in the pack and have no fear in that sense. So that's obviously for this weekend. Long term, obviously, there's so many drivers. There's Cup guys that come down and do some of the ARCA races. There's Xfinity guys. There's truck guys. So the competition is amazing. And really to get to the ARCA level, for the most part, most people had tremendous success in the lower ranks, in late models, in super late models, in legend cars, whatever it may be. So I know that I'll be competing against really, really good drivers. And that is a cool aspect about ARCA. There's a lot of, I call myself the old guy because there are 16-year-olds who I'll be driving. I could literally be their father, but in that sense, that's what makes this series and stock cars in general really appealing to me. Is it is something that you can do for a long time, and that's my goal. I want to be in this sport for as long as possible, whether it's as a driver or in the future as an owner. But yeah, that's the goal.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have fun here at Daytona.
Thank you so much.
And we'll go next to Seth Eggert with Kicking the Tires. Seth, go ahead when you're ready.
Frankie, first off, congratulations on the ride. But
Thank you.
You did mention a little bit about the car you're going to be driving, it being Sterling Marlin's number 40 from the 2001 Daytona 500. Have the weight of those connections and that history that you have to that day sunk in yet?
I'm not going to lie. It did. It was the other day that I saw it on Twitter that someone put that there, and I put two and two together, and I called my mom. My mom was here at the race with me in 2001, and we actually were in Kenny Schrader's pit. I was wearing an M&M's jacket. The fact that I was in the pace car with the 40 car, actually Sterling Marlin signed that jacket. Dale Earnhardt signed that jacket. And I was on the pit road when Dale was getting into his car, and he came up to me and he stopped me and he said, I just have to say that, your show has brought me and my daughter so much closer together. I love your show. And it was like insane to me that Dale Earnhardt is telling me that, and so really there's 3 cars that I was tied to that day. And those 3 cars, obviously, the end of the Daytona 500 in 2001 were involved in that accident that changed the sport tremendously. So when I thought about all that, I called my mom and I told her the story of how I'm driving that car. And it was a really weird feeling, like amazing, but it did, the memories of that day sunk in and impacted me a little bit. But in that sense, I know what it means for me to have this opportunity. And I feel like all that makes me feel like I'm in the place I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? The fact that I can look back, 22 years ago and have some interesting tie to the car that I'm going to be driving today is pretty special for sure.
And I know you've mentioned you want to be known more as a race car driver than an actor, but you have been in a couple of racing related movies, Racing Stripes and Miracle in Lane 2. Did that fuel a little bit of your competitive passion, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been my whole life extremely competitive, in everything I've ever done. I want to be the best I can be. But yeah, obviously, Miracle in Lane 2, I think I filmed that in 1999 or 2000. So like really, really early on in my career. And we filmed that at Irwindale Speedway. And I, remember going to one of the races at Irwindale, and I kept one of the tires. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was in my room for years when I was somewhere Malcolm in the middle. And it was pretty interesting to in the end be driving at Irwindale this last year, in the late model and now coming here. There's an interesting tie to kind of things I've done in the acting world that bring me to the racing world. But no, I mean, like I said, I race everything I can. I've got to be the fastest, anything I'm doing, even walking. I got to get to that door before this person does. You know what I mean? That's how competitive I am. So I don't know where that comes from, but I've got that fire in me for sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
I walked with you over here to the media center earlier today, and I can attest he likes to be first. We will go, and I believe this is Ben White. Ben, I believe you are next. We will let you go when you're ready.
Brandon White, Charles.
Oh, I'm
Brandon
sorry,
White.
Brandon. Go ahead. Yep.
It's all good. Good talking with you, Frankie. Seth beat me to the question that I was going to ask you about the car you're going to be driving. So I'm going to instead talk about your co-owner, Terry Jones. I mean, he nearly pulled off the upset at Daytona here in 2017. So since Terry knows how to work draft Daytona, what kind of advice has he given you about staying with the draft and getting up to the front of the field?
Well, I drove down from Charlotte to Daytona yesterday with Terry driving, and I learned that he's a little bit of a maniac behind the wheel. So maybe I have to take that. He was drafting the semi trucks on the freeway, and he's like, "This is what it's going to feel like tomorrow." He's right up on their bumper. So I learned that. But no, it's been cool to be able to get to hang with Terry and Mark and use kind of their experience and hear some of their stories to prep me for today. I don't know. I just want to make them happy. I want to make them proud of the decision they made to put me in the car, and hopefully I can do that.
Thank you very much, Frankie.
No problem.
And I saw that blur go by me on the highway yesterday. I can attest, Terry Jones, he still has a little bit of race car driver in him, doesn't he?
For sure.
And we'll go next to Mark Crystal. Mark, go ahead when you're ready.
Hi there, Frankie.
How's it going?
You've acted in TV, films. I mean, last night I was flipping channels and there you were in an episode of Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
You've driven a variety of different vehicles. You're a husband, a dad, now a full-time ARCA driver, and you're 36 years old. Does it seem surreal on a daily basis?
When I look from the outside perspective, and I think about all the things I've gotten to do, I go, wow, I've definitely lived an extremely fulfilled life. In that same sense, maybe it's the drive that I have to experience as much as I can in my life. I know that, you never know what's going to happen. Life is definitely short, but in that same sense, I feel like I've done nothing. And I hope that doesn't turn you off when I say that, because I know I've been fortunate to do a ton. But I don't know. I want to look back at my life and even from the outside perspective of what people think of me and go, wow, he lived an extremely fulfilled life. I want to feel that way. And, I can fulfill my life in many different ways, but I've always strived to do the things that I love and that are tough things. Nothing that I've necessarily done is easy to get into, or when you get into it, easy to be successful. And I think that's what drives me, for myself, not even for anyone else. Like, it's just that I want to be successful in the things that I do for me and for my wife and my family. But no, I don't know. It's tough because like I said, I look back and I go, wow, when I hear my bio, sounds insane, but I'm just me, and I've only lived, I only know what it's like to be me. So I still got a lot of goals that I want to reach, and I don't know if I'll ever feel fully accomplished, but hopefully along the way, I make a lot of amazing memories, and I've met some amazing people in my life, and I just know that throughout all the things I've gotten to do, all the experience I've gotten to do, it's made me so much more of an appreciative person, like I said, for opportunity. And I think that helps me reach that goal even faster, because I don't take anything for granted anymore.
And then my other question for you is, you had the terrible accident at Mid-Ohio, if I recall. Well, that was years ago. How have you, Daytona, it's fast. There's been bad accidents. How have you moved on and mentally prepared yourself for racing at high speeds and putting yourself, hopefully not in getting into an accident or injury, but putting yourself in a position where that could occur, unfortunately?
Well, as a race car driver, that there's possibilities of being involved in accidents. I think that's why you find so many young guys in the sport. 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds are still extremely fearless. Maybe they haven't hit a wall hard enough to knock some sense in them yet. But in that same sense, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about that there is a possibility that something may happen, it's probably time to hang up your gloves, put the helmet away. Because, you can't let that slow you down. You know what I mean? You can't let that fear creep in, or that, you got to take, chances when you need to take them, and not have any reservations. So I know there's a possibility, being 37 years old. I get up, my back hurts, my knees hurt when I walk. You know what I mean? I know there's possibilities of getting hurt, but when I put that helmet on, it's the last thing on my mind. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be as fast as I can for myself and for the team, and finish as high up on the charts as possible.
All righty. Well, best of luck this season, and I hope forward to hopefully meeting you at the racetrack this year.
For sure. I'll see you there.
Thanks, Mark. We'll go next to David Hoffman at Speed Sport. David, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Frankie, thanks for taking the time today. What do you feel is going to be the biggest hurdle, especially these first couple of races, and knowing that you've had more of an open wheel background?
I mean, there's so many hurdles. Obviously, just getting comfortable in the car. I've only tested an ARCA car, I think, twice. You know what I mean? So I've got a lot to just get comfortable there, and I got to do it quickly. I've never been to any of the racetracks, so I can't take past experience, except for Mid-Ohio. I can't take past experience and go, oh yeah, I've been there. Even just how to get on the pit lane, how to get out, those things that you don't really think about until you're there. But there's a lot of hurdles. Learning how to draft, learning how to race a stock car. It's a totally different experience than racing an open wheel car. But I learned a lot in the few races I did out on the West Coast in the late models this year. And I'm going to take that, and I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to listen to people and take as much advice as possible. But there's a lot of hurdles. But I'm ready for the challenge, and hopefully at the end of the season, if we have another conversation like this, I can say I successfully got through those hurdles and got over those hurdles, and I'm either ready to progress or come back next year and be even better.
A final question, just with this new career avenue, what type of impact do you want to make on both race fans and fans outside that may be kind of interested in, what you're doing now?
Well, obviously, if I can bring eyes to the sport who never really watched racing before, if they follow my acting career and they're interested in seeing what I'm doing, that's amazing. It's amazing, for me, it's amazing for the sport, it's amazing for racing in general. And as someone who's a race fan and wants to be involved in the sport for a long time, awesome, if that helps. In that same sense, I hope people see me out there and see that I belong. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. I don't want people to look at it and be like, oh yeah, Frankie, yeah, he's out there. Yeah, he's not very good. I want people to think of me as a good race car driver. So hopefully that's something that I achieve.
Good luck this season. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to my colleague, Tad Hayslip. And Tad, by the way, cars are on the racetrack here, so we might want to double check that our scoring is working just to be on the safe side, but we'll let you go here next, bud.
That is good news. I'll make it quick so Frankie can get out there. Frankie, thanks for taking the time. Ever since your announcement was made Monday, there's been an influx of jokes on social media, the three wide middle jokes. just so the announcers can say Malcolm Middle. Are you already tired of these jokes, or is this kind of one of those deals where like it's going to happen and you just deal with it?
I'll say this. For 23 years since Malcolm premiered, I don't think there's one photo of me on the outside, right? Everyone always says, so I'm used to hearing the Malcolm in the Middle references on everything I do in my life. But, I'll be sure to make a Malcolm in the Middle shirt of me in the car. I'm going to capitalize on that before someone else does for sure. So don't worry about that.
The way to do it, man. Turn it into some revenue. That's it. I know
those tires are expensive. Those tires are expensive.
That's right. They don't pay for themselves. That's right. I know Casey Campbell had his hand up in the chat earlier today. We'll go to Casey before we wrap up here. Casey, go ahead when you're ready, pal.
Thank you, Charlie. Frankie, how are you, bud?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. So just kind of talking about this journey that you're on. You're going to be in like the Midwest area a lot, of course, visiting a lot of tracks in Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana. What do you feel like going all the way up to the Midwest? Because that's where a lot of these races are.
I mean, that's one thing that I love about being a race car driver, and bringing my son, getting my family to come with me, and getting to experience different places and meet different people. That's part of the fun of this sport. Is getting to go to places that maybe I wouldn't go. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go everywhere on the schedule and hopefully meet as many people as possible and get them in some Muniz Racing, Rhett Jones Racing gear, and make fans of them for sure.
Yeah, and talk about the goals for today on the racetrack. What do you want to accomplish today?
I mean, we've got our own program that we're ready to do. We're going to do a bunch of single car runs at first, just to kind of make sure everything feels good on the car, get me up to speed. And then really the goal is just to get in packs, get around the guys who I want to be racing with, the fast guys out there, and getting comfortable being in a draft. So if I can do that, that'll be a successful day today. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll just keep kind of going at it and getting quicker and quicker. And hopefully I'll be towards the top of the leaderboard by the end of it.
All right. Frankie, thank you so much, bud.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I do hear cars on the racetrack. We've got one more quick obligation for Frankie before he gets out of here, but we'll let everybody go. Thank you all so much for joining us. And if there's anything else.
No, thank you.
Go ahead, Frankie.
I was going to say thank you so much. I appreciate you being interested in this journey with me. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. And if anybody needs anything else out of me, just drop me an email and we'll make sure you get any photos or videos that you're looking for. All right, everybody. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.